It is Friday! My name is Claudia Rivera and welcome back to Pride, a living room series. Here with us today is Jayse Rednour!
Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for being here, Jayse. Can you please start us off by telling everyone a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Jayse, like Claudia said, 22, just moved to LA in mid-December of 2019. Obviously a part of the LGBT community. I'm also a person of color. I would love to work in television, so that's why I moved out here to LA. And my zodiac sign is a Virgo. Which is the best sign if you're asking?
Well, it's 11 a.m., so Jayse and I have decided to have this conversation whilst drinking some coffee to
Coffee, mine kind of looks
and
milky.
aware of what's going on. Jayse, in this community that exists, part of this world called the queer community that we're so proudly a part of, I wanted to know what has been your experience being a part of it, and also what is your perception about the community?
With anything, there are positives and negatives. So I think that's honestly one perception that a lot of people have wrong, whether you're newly queer or you're questioning, or you could even be straight. I think a lot of people just assume, oh, everyone who falls under the queer umbrella like gets along and we're all best friends and we all love each other. And that's not true because it's like, yes, our sexualities may be the same and we're outside of the heteronormative society together. But just like straight people are diverse, queer people are diverse. And so there are different races and religions and genders and feelings about things. You know, there are conservatives, there's liberals, so everyone is so different. And so I think that is one thing that I kind of had to learn, you know, like growing up and getting acclimated with the community. Because I was like, oh my, I'm just gonna have all these amazing best friends. And then you're like, wait a second, that's not true. We have one thing in common, but that doesn't mean that we're gonna get along. And that's not necessarily a negative because again, everything has positives and negatives. And, you know, some people get along and some don't. So that's just kind of what it is at the end of the day. My experience, wow. Oh my goodness, Claudia. I grew up in a small town and I went to a college that was also in a small town. So there wasn't like a huge queer population at either of those places. Moving to LA is really exciting because obviously LA has a huge queer population and was ready to explore all of that before we got hit with a wonderful pandemic. So I didn't get to go into that too much. Actually, though, my first time ever being in a gay club was here in LA. I was here over the summer doing a school program and we went to Pride. We just went to all of the shenanigans that was happening in West Hollywood. First bar we saw was the Abbey, which is really funny, just like an iconic gay bar. And so here's my first time going into this bar just so my friends can like pee, but then they end up deciding to get a cocktail and totally fine and everything. And it was like a very surreal moment because I was like, there are so many queer people right now. They're dancing and they're touching each other and they're kissing and they're laughing and they're having fun. It was a lot to kind of take in because back on my college campus, like I wouldn't even feel comfortable dancing. Like I stopped dancing after my freshman year. I was like, I'll go and I'll like sit at the bar and have drinks with my friends, but I'm like not super comfortable like dancing because I just feel like that's immediately alerting people that I'm queer, which I don't care. But it was just like there wasn't a huge population again at my campus. And a lot of men sadly just get very violent and very aggressive and very like hateful when they're intoxicated. So I was just like didn't feel comfortable. So it was just very surreal to then be in this experience and be like this is a safe space and like I can have fun and these are all of my people. I was vibrating and I just felt really happy, and so that was like a really cool moment.
I remember when I had a culture shock because coming from Puerto Rico, I went to college in New York, and like the first day of school, I was getting to know my classmates, and this girl made a joke being like, what is a straight person called at Purchase College, which is the school I went to? And I was like, what? And she was like, a freshman. I was like, I'm never going to be gay. So being exposed, you know, in New York, you have so many queer people. It's so known for that, such as LA. Going into those places and realizing that there are so many of us was liberating.
I'm so happy that you're doing Pride a Living Room series because I try to raise awareness on the diversity of queer experience because a lot of queer media, entertainment, event products are geared towards gay white men. And there are more people in the community besides gay white men. So I love that you are a woman of color and you're queer. And a lot of people that you've been talking to have been of color and in different countries. And that's just so exciting because I think a lot of people kind of get left behind. And like, I didn't really notice it at first, but then once I started noticing it, like I notice it all the time and it's very upsetting. I'm like, we never talk about lesbians. Like lesbians never get a platform. They never get a chance to speak up. You know, we still have biphobia in the community. So we're not even giving space for our bi brothers and sisters to speak up. Sadly, some queer people are transphobic and we're not really uplifting our trans brothers and sisters and giving them the platform to speak up. The people who are of color, whether you're Hispanic, Asian, Black, Middle Eastern, anything else that I forgot to mention, you know, those experiences are very different than, you know, being white, just based on the way that the world is. Being gay is a marginalized identity, but when you are white or even masculine presenting, you have this privilege that a lot of other queer people don't have. And so I think that's something that I always try to, you know, bring awareness to and like speak up to. So again, just love that you're doing this and showing all of these array of stories.
At the end of the day, like I mentioned to you as well, I want for someone who is having a similar experience to you to be able to see that they're not alone, you know? And if I want to do that, I need to find every little story out there, not just the one. So Jayse, when I first kissed a girl, I ran away. It was the first girl I was ever kissed, the first girl that I was with. It happened. I ran away for like an hour and I felt like I was gonna die. So I wanted to know, how was that first moment that you, well, kissed a guy for the first time and you were like, holy shit?
I was a freshman or a sophomore in college. I was at a house party with my friends and there was this guy that I knew and like I knew that he was gay and we were kind of like loosely friends. I was drunk and the dude came up to me and he was talking to me and my friends and like we were just chatting and it was like a fun time. Then after he left, my friend was like, bro, like he was like hitting on you. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like I just like didn't see it. I don't get hit on a lot also. So like I just really don't know if I would even like notice. She was like, yes, he was hitting on you. He said he was going to dance. So you should go inside to go dance with him. So I just like get up and you know, when drunk people are on a mission, they're on a mission. So it was just like a scene from a movie. So I was like traveling through the house and I was like asking people like, oh, have you like seen him or whatever? And they're like, oh, he's over there. And then it was like so cheesy Netflix original, like we kind of like saw each other from like across the room and then just like came together and then we started dancing and it was like hot and heavy, like dirty dancing Havana nights, like in the middle of the dance floor to weird techno music or something. And then we went to like the back of the house and out the back of the door. And then he like pushed me up against the house and started kissing me. And it was like it was a fun time. It was like just really exciting because it was just like a movie basically. This was a very like cinematic experience.
Now we're going to go into our last segment of the show. My last guest, Ashley Ortiz, asked you a question. Afterwards, you'll get the chance to ask a question to my next guest. Okay?
Fabulous.
Ashley Ortiz asked you,
if you could give your younger self 3 pieces of advice, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. Be more confident earlier. Obviously, it's a journey, but definitely would have supported that, letting him know that you're going to grow into yourself and you're going to love yourself and people are going to appreciate you for who you are. So that definitely would be one piece of advice. Do more. It has nothing to do with being queer, but it's like I've like really loved fashion and like getting to college, you're super busy. Getting to adult life, you're super busy. It's like in high school, I literally had so much fucking time. I literally could twiddle my thumbs. So I kind of wish I would have like been a little more crafty because that would have been like a good time to like learn some skills. And then the last piece of advice, maybe just like have fun and not take things so seriously. Accept things for what they are and you can't control things that are out of your control. So you should let those go and only worry about what you can control. That would be a nice lesson to learn a little bit.
here you had him, Jayse Rednour.
Thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Claudia, for inviting me.
Of course, of course. Thank you for being here, Jayse.
And that's the end of our episode for today. Thank you for watching. Come join me next week for our last week of Pride, our living room series. I have 3 more guests, one of them being myself. So please join me. I will see you next Monday. And remember, stay queer, stay weird. Have a good one.